There was a thick atmosphere in Carousel Boutique as Rarity stood before her mirror. She lifted her lipstick with her magic, then quickly set it back down with a whine of annoyance. 63 shades from all of the top brands sat before her on her vanity, and not one was right for the occasion. If she didn't figure out which one to wear soon, she would have to go without the lipstick. It had already taken hours to choose the right eyeshadow. She was running out of time. She desperately scanned the rows and columns of assembled tubes. She couldn't be imperfect for this, not with all the work she had done to set it up. A loud knock came at her door. Oh no, she was too late. She'd have to rely on only her natural beauty, and copious though as it was, it would never give her the same sense of confidence as her brand names. Still, she ran downstairs and threw the door wide open, immediately regretting it, and trying to look like she hadn't hurried. There she was, standing proudly with a small cart strapped to her barrel. Applejack. Rarity mumbled, the earth pony's name coming out with thick desire. She quickly caught herself staring and regained her poise.
Darling, thank you ever so much for coming by.
The farmer gingerly loosened the straps of her cart and slipped out of the harness. No problem, Rarity. I'm just sorry your trip got canceled, Applejack answered, heaving large rolls of fabric out of the cart, the unicorn grabbing a few in her magic and heading upstairs. The trip, of course, was not canceled. This had all been orchestrated by the brilliant, detail-oriented mind of Rarity the unicorn. Rarity smiled smugly to herself as she led Applejack upstairs.
Claim that you have a trip, and a large order of fabric will be coming in while you're gone. Check. Get Applejack to agree to have them deliver the order to her home and bring it to the boutique. Check.
She looked over her shoulder as they reached the top of the steps, Applejack's powerful tail pinning the rolls down onto her own back.
Lament the cancellation of your so-called trip and apologize profusely for being unable to change the shipment address of your order. Check. Last step, Rarity.
She fumbled a little with her hooves, not willing to divide her magic between the heavy cloth and the doorknob.
Get Applejack to admit to seeing you as the object of her desire and begin the most wonderful courtship Ponyville has ever seen. Soon to be checked.
The pair set down the rolls in Rarity's workshop, and the unicorn walked suspiciously close to the earth mare.
Honestly, Applejack, I can't thank you enough.
She fluttered her eyelids seductively, taking a slightly submissive posture.
If there is ever anything I can do for you, please don't hesitate to ask. Anything at all.
Nah, don't you worry none, Rare. You know I'm always happy to help out a friend. A powerful foreleg patted Rarity on the back. The unicorn's mind filled with screams of inarticulate frustration as her lips pouted softly, her head angled downward a bit.
Applejack, I insist on repaying you, and I will absolutely not take no for an answer.
I told you, Rare, it's fine. What are friends for, after all? The word friend was like an inquisitively cut diamond, having its ferocity tested by being used to carve initials into the glass of Rarity's heart. Still, she would persevere. There was nothing that would stop her from getting Applejack to show her how she felt.
Applejack, it is because we are friends that I am being so insistent. Tell me, how would you feel if one of us had done something so generous and kind for you, only to deny them the chance to repay them?
A spark of ingenuity flashed through Rarity's brain. It was all she could do to keep from cackling manically at the idea.
Look me in the eyes.
She fluttered her eyelids as she spoke softly.
Tell me, honestly, is there absolutely nothing that you want from me?
Applejack rolled her eyes and looked into Rarity's own. Rarity, I don't need... She started to look away, having some problem thinking while staring into those shimmering blue eyes. But she had to make eye contact while refusing her, for whatever reason. I don't... Her cheeks began to flush. That's to say, I don't... She could feel the sweat beading on her brow. There's a lump formed in her throat. She had to get out of there. Apples! She dashed down the stairs and out the door.
So close,
Rarity said, a grin plastered irrevocably upon her lips.
You may have not confessed your love, darling, but you've told me far more than you think.
She walked over to her desk, pushing some dress designs aside, and began to write out ideas. How could she get to Applejack? If she could just get her alone for a moment where the farmer couldn't simply take off running, she'd have her. There was no doubting that. She would have liked it if the fake canceled trip plan had worked flawlessly, of course. She was rightfully proud of the clever story she'd managed to spin, in addition to which, it had the added benefit of giving her dozens of potential dresses, just waiting to be made. Sadly, a story that complex couldn't be easily repeated, not without raising suspicions.
How to go about this?
She thought to herself, looking at all the possible connections that could bring them closer.
Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom are good friends, and Sweetie is often eager to please. On the other hoof, I can't try to force my sister to be a part of this. Can't I? No, I perish the thought. Sweetie Belle is innocent, and I will not tarnish that, even if she doesn't know what's going on.
She stepped away from her desk and began pacing around the room.
I need something to start the conversation, some reason to meet with her. But where will I?
Something on the floor caught her eye, and the corners of her lips turned up mischievously.
Applejack, you're making this so easy.
Meanwhile, halfway across town, Applejack bursted through a door, slid under a table, curled up, and began hyperventilating. Was she flirting with me? She can't be flirting with me. Why do I care if she was? Was she? What? Get a hold of yourself, Applejack. She ain't gonna be flirting with you because she don't feel that way. If she did, she would have said something. And you two would be doing all kinds of romantic whatnot together. Don't you be getting that nonsense in your head. She was just being polite. And if you did think different, you're liable to ruin your friendship. Twilight came into the room to find the source of the noise, looked down at the intruder with a small amount of shock to how nervous the confident, steadfast farmer appeared. Applejack, are you okay? Twilight asked, sounding even more worried than she looked. I like trees, she began to explain, her eyes darting around nervously. Spend my whole life with them. Make me feel safe. Needed the biggest tree I could find. Sorry for bursting in. It's fine. Is there anything I can help you with? Absolutely not! Applejack frowned as she saw Twilight cringe from her shouting. I'm sorry, Twi. Just something I gotta handle on my own. She slowly stood, beginning to calm down. Her knees were still shaking after the run-in with Rarity. She stared at them, trying to get them to behave, and when she stood back up, Twilight stared at her flatly. Do you remember the last time I offered help, and you were acting strange, and you didn't accept it? Before Applejack could answer, a banner reading Applebuck Season floated in, engulfed in purple magic, hovering above Twilight's head. The Earth Mare let out a frustrated sigh, not questioning why Twilight had the banner ready in the first place. I know, but this ain't gonna be like that. It ain't about me being too proud. It's just private is all. Twilight looked her over for a moment. Did something happen at Rarity's? How did you know I'd come from over there? She sputtered, shocked. Magic? Twilight offered playfully, hoping to ease the tension. As Applejack glared at her, she sighed softly and gave in. All right, fine. I can tell by just looking at your recently washed hooves. But it's not close to mealtime, and you washed all 4 of them. You were trying to avoid tracking dirt. Another glare. Okay. You smell like the boutique. Gosh darn frou-frou fragrances. Look, Twi, I know you want to help. And any other day, I'd be happy to accept. But this is between me and Rarity. She headed for the door, having calmed down substantially by this point. I'll see you later, Twilight. Twilight just stared after her. Any other day. This was a mystery. She needed to consult her calendar as soon as possible. Applejack headed home, glad to be done with Rarity for the day. She cared deeply for her, just as she did all of her friends, but she could not deal with seeing her again so soon. She walked in the front door and breathed a sigh of relief. I'm home, she called out, rounding the corner, at the sight of Rarity standing next to the most uncomfortably awkward-looking big Macintosh she had ever seen. And what was that in Rarity's hoof? Was that? Applejack quickly turned her head backwards to see her tail hanging free and open. Before she had a chance to figure out how exactly it happened, the unicorn moved behind her and began correcting it, magically holding all of a blushing Applejack's tail hairs together and gently slipping a small band of red cloth around the end. Happy to see his sister home to get the attention off of him, Big Macintosh quickly headed out to do some work. Rarity stayed behind her, still fiddling with the tail a little.
Applejack, you're so very, very lucky,
she said softly, now stroking the tail. What? Came her well-reasoned and eloquent response.
Do you have any idea how much work and money most mares have to put forth to get their hair so voluminous and vibrant, so soft and silky?
She asked, smiling softly and staring into those brilliant green eyes. She spoke as if she had something seductive caught in her throat, and was pushing it out a little more with each word.
And not to offend, but I doubt you do a thing to get it this way. Quite frankly, I'm jealous.
Rarity, you're making me feel mighty uncomfortable.
What could possibly be making you uncomfortable, Applejack? I'm simply paying a compliment to one of the ponies closest to me, and an honest one at that.
Well, you see, you keep stroking my tail and making the eyes at me. Did her tongue start swelling? Or did it just go numb? Rarity stared at her, but quickly tried to get back on course.
Applejack, did you ever want something from some pony? Did you ever have something you desired so much, but could never take it for yourself?
She moved away from her tail, moving closer and closer to her face.
I'd be willing to give it to you.
What? Applejack replied, dashing into the bathroom and locking the door. Rarity walked over to the table and daintily slammed her forehead onto it, She swallowed her frustrations and approached the bathroom door.
Darling, are you... Oh, Applejack, oh dear!
She stepped back in alarm. Way to go, AJ. Way to keep a handle on them nerves. The Earth Mare thought sarcastically.
I'll be...
She whimpered.
I think that's all.
Rarity waited patiently as the farmer composed herself, cleaned up, brushed her teeth, and exited the restroom. Her eyes were waiting there to wow Applejack the moment she came out, but her target avoided eye contact.
Look at my eyes! Come on! Look at my eyes, damn it! Wait, Rarity, patience is a key here. Is something wrong?
Nope. Nothing at all. She lied horribly. What makes you think that something might be wrong?
Well, you're not looking me in the eye for one,
she said, smiling to herself.
That's 'cause I'm afraid of what I might do if I looked.
Applejack thought. She cleared her throat, and in the interest of buying herself some time, began coughing into her hoof.
Applejack, clearly something is on your mind. If you can be honest with yourself about what it is, I'll be generous enough to lend you my ear.
She smiled sweetly. Applejack swallowed audibly and caught Rarity in the eyes.
Yes, Applejack?
She urged, moving a little closer.
Rarity,
She clenched her eyes shut. She couldn't do this. Rarity was Rarity. She'd never love a farmer. She wanted those fancy stallions up in Canterlot, not a simple mare in Ponyville. Applejack had squashed these stupid dreams of a romance before. But why did she feel so warm? Why did it feel like some pony wrapped their forelegs around her? She hesitantly opened her eyes to find that not only was she in Rarity's embrace, but somehow she had begun hugging back. The question of whether it was instinctive or her forelegs were the target of the unicorn's witchery quickly vanished as she realized that Rarity's cheek was pressed against her own. She pulled back a little, and the unicorn instantly pulled her in tighter for a moment before letting her go. Rarity watched her soon to be more than just a friend expectantly, a delicate smile on her lips.
I'm sorry for interrupting, darling. You were saying, dear?
She waited, starting to lose hope as the farmer stuttered and stumbled over her words.
That is... and you're...
Just as Rarity was finally about to give up, Applejack threw her hat on the ground in frustration. Consarn it all! She grabbed Rarity in her powerful hooves and kissed her. It was no kiss for the ages. A small, timid thing, clumsy for lack of experience. But Rarity was sure she felt her heart skipping a beat when it happened. Applejack released the seamstress, clutching her eyes and teeth shut.
I love you, Rarity.
She let out weakly.
I know,
came a confident and tender reply.
And I love you too, Applejack.
She gently returned the kiss and stood calmly before her. Applejack's head swam with love and elation, but a few questions seemed to worm their way into the forefront of her mind.
Wait, y'all knew? How long?
Oh, for a few weeks, dear.
How did y'all know?
She demanded, feeling mortified.
If y'all knew, then why didn't y'all say anything? Why'd you wait for me to say it? Why did y'all have to put me through all this today when y'all could have just told me you loved me back?
I knew because quite frankly it was written all over your face. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to scare you off or embarrass you. And as for your last point, I do not simply confess to other ponies. No. Other ponies confess to Rarity, but I am more than willing to reciprocate.
She locked eyes with Applejack humiliation being burned away by the Earth Pony, who finally sighed in defeat.
This is gonna suck, ain't it?
At times, undoubtedly, but I'm certain we'll enjoy more than we'll regret.
Applejack nodded, leaned in, and nuzzled against her new filly friend, as Rarity began to wonder just how much easier all of this could have been if she could have just picked the right shade of lipstick.